Yo, yo. Whether you've been to 0 hackathons, 10, 50, a million, doesn't make a difference. This video is going to tell you how to start winning. Winning a hackathon, it isn't easy, but it's consistent. It's repeatable. So let's just get right into it. Before we know how to win a hackathon, we need to know how to find them. Luckily, you can kind of just Google it. Google hackathons near me. You're going to find a bunch of dev post links. There you go. But that leads me to strat number 1. Do your research. Before a hackathon begins, there's some things you can do to set yourself apart. First thing you can do is look at the different tracks. If you remember my last video, tracks are the themes of the hackathon. Typically it's education, finance, AI, pretty generic stuff. But what you can do is you can look and see how to win. They usually tell you what they're looking for, and the prize that you can win if you have the best project in that track. This gives you a head start above everyone else because you can start thinking about what you're going to make. Now, we're not going to start making it. That's cheating. And over here, we're large and we're ethical. We're not cheaters. But you can start planning it out. What you're going to make, what problem you're going to solve. You can just start brainstorming. So the less time that you can spend thinking about what to build, the more time you can just spend working. And that gives you an advantage over everyone else. Strat 1.5. Hackathons usually have a team matchmaking event where you can find your team. Usually they do this at the start of the hackathon, where they give you about an hour to find some teammates. And what you can do here is find people who are doing the same track as you, bounce some ideas off of them. Maybe you're just looking for anyone to work with. Maybe you're not picky. Join a team. And if they're good, get their contact, take them to the next hackathon. And if they're bad, you're going to do this strategy. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I did this once and I feel bad about it, but it works. My very first hackathon, I didn't have any teammates. I went in there, the first person I saw, I said, "Hey man, do you have a team?" I'm not going to say his name. His name was Brian. And I still feel bad about this to this day. But I told Brian, I said, "I don't have a team. I don't care what we work on. I just want to win." Now, after a little bit of talking, I realized that Brian didn't really speak good English. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel him. It happens. I don't speak good English either. But I knew that this next 24 hours would be really difficult because we couldn't really communicate with each other. So what I did was I said, "Hey, Brian, I'm going to find us 2 more teammates." So I left. I looked for 2 more teammates. I found 2 more teammates. And I told him, I said, "Listen, I need to join your team." I abandoned Brian. And I still feel bad about it. It was messed up what I did. But I needed to do what I needed to do. And karma struck back. That team was a disaster. We didn't win anything. But it happens. I had more fun working with them. Whatever. End of story. But there's options here. You're never locked in. Do what you have to do to win. Now, forget that. We're going to jump right into strategy number 2. Why is it important to have a good team? Because good teams with good chemistry give good presentations. Strategy number 2 is the most important strategy in this entire video. Winning a hackathon is 70% presentation. It doesn't matter how cool your project is, how much work you put into it, how efficient it is, how cool it is, doesn't matter. If you can't present it, if the judges don't know what it does or why it does what it does, you're not walking away with a prize. Let's think about it from the judge's perspective. There's probably at least 20 different teams. They're all giving 2-minute presentations. Half the judges, they don't even know what's going on. They have no technical background. They're there for the paycheck or they're there for the LinkedIn post. It doesn't matter. They don't really care about your project. Let's just say it how it is. They don't care. But if you can give them a 2-minute good experience, if you can inspire them, make them laugh, make them forget that they're doing this for the paycheck, make them enjoy their job for a few minutes, they're going to remember that. When they're done judging and they go to the back room to discuss, first off, they're not going to remember any of the projects. So when it's time to vote which one's the best, they're going to say, let me think. They're going to remember the one they enjoyed the most. It's as simple as that. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to have a good project. But when we build our projects, we're building them for the presentation. As much as we want to go in and say, oh yeah, this right here is the future of the world. This solves the world's biggest problems. That's great. There's no way to build that in 24 hours. It's just not possible. And if you think it is, good for you. I hope you get it done, but you're going to find that it's not possible. But what you can do is, I'm going to show you a little magic word. MVP. Not LeBron, not the GOAT. Minimum viable product. What does that mean? It means what's the least amount of work that I can do to maximize my result? What's something that I can spend 24 hours making that has the most impact, right? If we think about the impact, we try to build something that changes the world, we kind of forget that we only have 24 hours. But if we think about it backwards, say, hey, I have 24 hours, I can build these 3 features to my app, that'll be pretty good, and I can present them, and they'll work, and they'll be done. A lot of times these teams go in with big ideas run into big problems, and big problems take a lot of time to fix. And guess what? You don't have a lot of time. So lock in, make something that works, present it good, win. Simple as that. Now I'm going to throw one more tip at you. Let's say you're goated. Let's say your team's cracked. Your app has a lot of features, a lot of things you need to show off. If there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of room for error. And that means that if you're doing a live demo and you're trying to show off a lot of different features, you're going to run into problems during your demo, and it's going to make your team look like a bunch of phonies. So here's my tip for you. Consider pre-recording the video. Now, don't get me wrong. Judges will call you out and say, hey, can I see a live demo? Yeah, absolutely. But what we do not want to happen by any means necessary is we don't want our app to break during the demo. That's the most important part. Again, judges will remember how they felt. They don't care about what it does. They remember how they felt. So if they think to themselves, dang, I'm bored. I wonder what I'm going to eat for lunch today while you're trying to debug your app mid-demo, you're cooked. You're cooked. So anyways, film it, pre-record it, make your presentation perfect. That's pretty much the main point. Now, I'm going to give you one more sleeper tip, but remember, strategy 2 is the most important one. Strat number 3. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Strategy number 3 kind of piggybacks off of number 2, just a little bit. Build something useful. Build something that you can tell a story about. When you're presenting an app, if your app only helps one person, that's fantastic, that's great. But that's hard to present, that's kind of hard to sell, right? Let's say your app is a reminder app for your grandma, so she doesn't forget her Thursday night Zumba classes. That's awesome, good for her. Your grandma's probably thrilled. But when you present that, it doesn't really have impact. It doesn't really have, there's no draw to that. It's not going to inspire the judges. We can go a little more broad and say, oh, I built a reminder app for anyone to, remind themselves, whatever. But again, that's basic. That's not really important, right? That's great. That's awesome. Build something sick, right? Now, of course, guys, this is easier said than done, but spend time building something that's actually cool and useful. You can go on ChatGPT and say, hey, generate me some ideas, but guess what? You're not the only person doing that. And when you're at a hackathon and 4 teams built the same product, they're pretty much all disqualified. They're not going to pick one of the 4 teams because they're all the same product. And this happens a lot more than you think. I'm going to tell you one more story, one more personal story. I was at a hackathon, one that I won $1,000 with my friend, actually $1 million. Me and my buddy won $1 million. And we ran into this guy. He was sitting behind us during the presentation. And his app, it looked so cool. It was an app that made it easier for people to find open source projects to contribute to. Basically, it scanned some open source repos and it ranked them based on difficulty and kind of just threw back at you what you're looking for. Don't get me wrong, it was sick. But I've heard that before. So when he was telling me this, I was thinking to myself, if the judges haven't seen this before, it's probably going to win something because this is a really cool project. But if they have, it's immediately disqualified. So you're kind of just gambling. You go in, you spend 24 hours building something that you know has been done before. You're looking at someone else's dev post on it. You're just gambling. And I mean, hey, if that's you, go for it. But I don't know, that kind of goes into some weird territory because it's not really cheating, but it's kind of plagiarizing. We don't think about that. Again, we stay large, we stay ethical, build something cool. That's pretty much it. I want to keep this video relatively short. If you start doing these, you're going to start winning more. Go win. Stay large. See?